Hello with Danceable Thoughts. I've been working on an activity for you, really for your Dance 1 students. This is my thought about teaching counting and charting music. It's not by any means a perfect activity, but I did work on it, and here's a quick presentation for it. I'm going to make this available to you later on, and you can lift the slides as you see fit. So I'm going to start with this idea that this is the way musicians see music, and you can show your students. There's time signature up here. You could talk to them about 8 beats per measure, those types of things. I don't like going this far in detail with Dance 1 students because I feel like unless they've got some music background, this will go right over their head because it truly is speaking another language. I've got right here what I consider a little version of a charting. This is just my personal way of doing it. By no means is this going to be exactly like the way you do it, but it's a start, and this will be what I do for our activity. I've got different starting points for musicians and vocalists. If you read down, you're going to see that they read music so that they can learn and perform and reproduce it. They have sheet music, and it's a way that the composer and a performer communicate. And musicians are generally guided by a conductor. Contrast that with dancers and choreographers. We hear or react to music, and then we put moves to certain sounds and sections of the music. Some dancers may never interact at all with a paper version of music, and most dances are guided by a teacher or choreographer who often creates their own way of noting the music and showing how it's organized. Depending on how you want to interact with music, it can be complicated, so here are my simple thoughts. First, we got to find the beat or the pulse of the music. Listening to count music generally begins by finding the percussion. We use our brains. Our brains just naturally will identify patterns in the music, and we from there can gain structure, ideas about the structure of the music. And the more times we listen to a selection of music, the more attentive our ears become to it. Think like you're teaching elementary music. Think about helping students clap along to the beat. I also find it's very useful to have them tap on their chest, stamp and stomp a foot, any of those types of things where you connect the physical movement with the beat of music. Some students need a lot of guidance on this. I thought that was really great. Terry was the person who actually said, hey, I want you to work on this as a suggested activity for today. And she said her students were asking, or had a student asking her about why we say 5, 6, 7, 8. So I added this slide. So first of all, dancers count music, I think, because that way we can assign a move to a certain part of the music. And then I also put in there that 5, 6, 7, 8 to dancers is about the same thing as on your mark, get set, go. Counting is really necessary for a bunch of reasons. First of all, easiest to think about is the fact that it keeps a group of performers, any type, musicians, vocalists, dancers, together during their performance. I think that it's also important from the teaching point of view, so you can say, here's a complex movement. Now I can break it down and show you the arms move on this count, the feet move on this count, the body reverses direction, that type of thing. So it's a way of chunking up information and then working from the big picture down to a smaller picture. It also helps a choreographer organize their creative thoughts. And of course, it's the way all performers understand that when a moment in the music requires a special dynamic contrast, you can put that in, whether on 5, 6, 7, 8, you're going to draw something out and slow it down, or on 5, 6, 7, 8, each movement, just like the music is going to get an extra punch or pow. Here are some counting music terms. This is me taking all the videos that I searched for and getting them down to the most basic terminology. I looked at musicians trying to explain this, dancers trying to explain this, and I felt like, again, this might be some information that could be a little too much for an overwhelmed beginner who were just trying to get on the beat. But here are some terms. You know, beat is that strong, recognizable pulse. The bar or the measure are the little groupings. Phrases are the larger groupings. And we as dancers sometimes use that term a little bit differently than the way our musician friends do. And I did add as a general rule that dancers hear the counts and beats in the music in sets of 8, because most common forms of music that are used for dance are in 8s or often can be in 6s. These were some terms also, like the time signature is the way a musician knows how many counts to a bar or measure. It's written on the sheet music. Tempo, that's really hard to describe in words. It's slow or fast. The musicians have a whole very important vocabulary about that. I think what's most helpful for a Dance 1 student is to talk about tempo as beats per minute, like we think about our heart rates in beats per minute. So here's an age-old question. How do you know where count 1 is? Well, the beat seems to have an extra emphasis on it, and you hear it stressed and repeated. That's the downbeat. Again, I like to think of explaining it in a term that they may understand throughout their own body, which is there's the loud thump of your heartbeat, and that's stronger and emphasized a little bit differently. So you've got that 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2 of your heart, and then that can help them translate into music. I said most listeners are going to feel this before their brain can really understand the words for it, because kids respond to music from the time they're very, very young. Listeners can detect patterns in music with some sounds or beats getting more emphasis. This is the beginning of rhythm. Rhythm is such a very complicated concept. You can spend classes on it. You can certainly tell Dance 2 and 3 kids to explore this, and Dance 4 kids will have an understanding of it, and you could ask them to research different types of rhythms. When dancers decide to make what they are hearing into something visual, most of us call that charting. Charts should look like an outline. The music is often organized into verses or a repeated chorus. Even if you don't have lyrics, you hear the part that repeats, so you can help the students understand, probably by using something with words first before you go to an instrumental. I've seen people do it both ways. I think the world in which the kids now live in, they hear so much music with lyrics, that might be the best way to start. Just watch out for inappropriate lyrics. Creating a chart helps reveal where unusual patterns occur. This is our dreaded 4-count break that some kids will just dance right through. Help them find that in the music. The best charts are the result of listening over and over and adding more details as you hear them. So here's a simple approach to charting. There's the first steps. Listen, label your paper, and then outline. So listening is just hearing the music, not writing anything. Labeling is putting the title, using your count structure, sort of like the time signature. And then outlining, for me, instead of writing the number 8 all the way down the page, I would actually use the 1 or just a tick mark, and I would work down the page. And if I ran into a 2-count tag or a 4-count break, that's where I would add in the -2 or -4. It's just a little blank sheet of paper, and I want to show you what this would look like. So I would put the title up here, and let's say it's Everybody Dance Now. And I've already listened to it. I'm going to tell you it's in 8s. I don't know if this is going to work perfectly, but I'm going to give this a try. I've got it queued up for us. I actually think this is a great song because they can hear the beat and then they can hear the vocals. So let's see how this works. So as they're listening through the intro, I would probably tell them not to chart this, but I'd let them start 1, 6, 7, 8, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4. So first it's just vocals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And we might stomp on the downbeat. Stomp. 6, 7, 8. Stomp. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that would be the listening portion of it. Because of this particular selection, I'm obviously not going to do the whole song, but now I'm going to show you how I would write this down the page. So I'm going to pick the music back up. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so there's nothing exciting about that. A beginner is going to go straight down the page just like I did. If you have kids who are musicians, they may have a little more detail here. The next step, which I'll show you after the next slide, has to do with going in and putting in some lines this way to denote phrases. You as advanced, or if you have advanced classes, they may be able to do both of those steps at the same time. That's totally up to you. So step 2 is breaking the whole into chunks. So they would listen again to the music, and you would tell them to start from the beginning and follow the chart. Add in those horizontal lines, which you saw me just doing, and if they here, you can then look at it and see that, okay, this is got 4 8s or 32 counts total. This is where you start doing that multiplication math. Then I also tell them if they can write fast enough, then there are lyrics. You might scribble in keywords to distinguish different sections of the music. And when they start recognizing a chorus or a repeat, that they might do that. So I'm not going to use a musical section this time, but I'm going to just go to our example. So here is our number stuff down the page. So the next section, the music would start. They'd be on here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Maybe that's the end of the instrumental, and here comes the vocals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I hear a big drum beat coming in, so I would add that. And maybe here's where we hear everybody dance now again. So the second stage adds another layer of information. Step 3 is starting to personalize, and this is what I call the dueling part. This is exactly what I used to teach my own students. I told them that they needed to come up with a way to visualize what they're hearing. So you start with counts that are stressed and things like, it's either the odd count or the even count. It's on 2s and 4s. They might doodle that in at a very basic beginner 1 level. The symbolic stuff like arrows when they hear the music building or fading, long lines to show a sustained note, curly or curvy lines that represent what I would say was like rolling sounds. And then next step would teach them that sounds to me like, oh, you should be turning, or you should be doing a contagion or a ripple. So here would be this structure. And this is me just writing super fast, but what would I write? So this might be 2, 4, 6, and 8 up here. And then I might have over here, this is an instrumental break. So you give them these ideas of writing things in like this. Maybe I say this thing, kind of waves. This is like drums, 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 drums. 7, 8, meaning 7, 8 are really big and different. These are the kinds of notes that you would also want to do. You also maybe teach them to bracket things up. This is a verse. This is a chorus, that type of thing. If you want to be super advanced, of course, you can teach them things like ABA structure. That's more of an analysis step. So listen and listen again. How one choreographer puts this into an outline form, this is what I was saying. I constantly update this to relate to what I am hearing. So I listen to the music and I hear things differently, and I come back to this and I might add more information. If I have to make edits to the music, I'm going to use this as my guide. Then, of course, I'm going to have to scratch out big chunks of it. After I start doing choreography and planning, I actually jot in nicknames for different steps or combinations, and I definitely do this for the formations. And as I edit choreography, I write on this outline, and when I'm being really smart, I even go in with colored ink and change things. Looking at these examples, this might be a field routine. This is the intro, And this is a 2/8 phrase, and this is big beats on 5/7, 5/7. I'm going to write in that this is parts, and then this is a contagion, and then this is a form change. So this is more like a director's point of view, and I'm sure you do things like this. Maybe this form changes to the triangle. And then there's some more details here, and this is the feature group. So the idea is that this stuff is going to keep informing you. And I really want to encourage you, if your kids see you using this, then they're going to use this. Talk to your officers or whoever your student choreographers are. Before you set them out in the wonderful world of choreography, ask them to create some of these kinds of documents for themselves. Counting and charting music summary thoughts. Understanding the way music is organized is definitely helpful to performing artists. Dancers benefit from counting. Choreographers use these tricks to organize their thoughts, and the process of charting can vary from simplistic basics to very personalized details. This was a quick little 15-minute glimpse into the way my brain works. I'm going to put this video on Facebook and YouTube for Danceable Thoughts, so you can just kind of interact with it. And then I will also make, for those of you who would like it, I will make the PowerPoint available. It will not have my narration or overview or my digital pen stuff in it. Thanks for tuning in to Danceable Thoughts. I hope this was helpful.